Hey everybody, this is Rob Decker again coming to you with the Rug Lounge. And of course, Brian's with me as always. Tell everybody howdy.
How's everybody doing?
I hope everybody has had a good week. Mine has been great. I even this week, Friday, I picked up a rug that they paid for expedited service, and I charge $110 to guarantee the rug back in 7 days, including weekends. So I already so when I do that, I usually go get it and set the delivery for the same day the next week and just process it. So I went into the shop yesterday by myself and did all the dusting on this rug, and it's a kind of a shag woven. It would remind you of a really, really thick, luxurious broadloom, but this is actually a woven rug, not a broadloom. But it So I did that and rolled it on the rug sucker, did the whole cleaning and got it back in the dry room yesterday, because it was just really cool. But I have a video to show you that I think we probably ought to talk about here because I you know I don't know. Let's watch the video and we'll see from there. All right, here we go. There, and is it that? Yes. Okay. You see what's going on, Brian?
Yep.
Okay. So they're taking a nice hand woven knotted, hand knotted rug, stretching it, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with stretching it as long as you're not breaking fibers. But the problem is being indiscriminate. Oh my God, can I not get this? There we go. This is two different rugs, obviously. And what I don't like about this is the slap stapler. Brian, I mean, what do you think about this?
Well, the thing that's bad about the stapler is that you want to make sure you're using stainless steel tacks. You want to make sure that you're going in between the warps and the wefts so you're not actually breaking the actual foundation of the rug. You're not also snapping any sort of knots. I mean, you know, when you're doing that, you're just tacking them down. And I think that, I mean, it might seem to work right there, but later on, you basically have destroyed the rug at a level. I mean, that's
Yeah.
all there is to it.
That indiscriminate slapping of the staples is the problem that I have. I do a lot of blocking and just did one 2 weeks ago, and um, you've got to have it really looks like a double bladed knife. I mean, when you look at the tack, that's what it is, and you insert that through the rug and then bang 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 tack it down a little bit, and you leave the head sticking up so they're easy to pull once it's dry. So but the point is that you want something that has a good zinc coating, and you don't want to reuse it over and over and over because that zinc coating comes out. That's why I'm such a big proponent of getting Staples the hell out of your rug, because Staples have a zinc coating and it works great until it comes off. And then the underneath is exposed, and that's what oxidizes, that's what causes that trouble with staples. So which is two different things here, you know what I mean? I would this the video I really have a problem with because of the indiscriminate way they're just laying those staples. It, there might be a way that you could make a staple work, but use the right equipment, guys. We're charging money for this, so use the right thing, and that would be a carpet tack. And that you can find them online. Make sure they're zinc coated. I got some brass ones one time. I think they're brass, and
Mm.
I wasn't fond of them. They're just sitting in my kit now, just in case they ever. Um, but yeah, that indiscriminate part of or what they're doing there, it makes me cringe. You know what I mean? It makes me cringe. Like here, I think I either said something to you privately or on the show last week about them cutting the side cord off of a rug. I mean, just
Oh,
cutting with a pair of scissors. It just makes me cringe.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, let's talk about last week real quick. Any one of you people that are watching now that didn't watch the entire show last week, there is a really big surprise that happened about halfway through this show last week that you're going to want to know about, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next few weeks. But there is an exciting new way to be able to get some really good concepts down about what we do, and I'm really excited about it. So, all right. So I gotta just get the pictures loaded up here. Here we go for the show. So let's see. Do this one, this one. Okay. Here, and gone. So, now for this, came up as an ad in my Facebook feed, right? But we got to remember, we're talking about these people have a clearance sale and up to 70% off what's not on clearance, right? So you got to remember that some of these rugs that come through may look really, really nice and well made, but when you get right down to it, they may have paid $250 shipped
Yeah.
to get this rug. And so again, in your pre-inspection procedure, part of your job is to find out how they feel about that rug. Is this something that my mom had that she gave to me, or is this something I picked up at Pier One or had shipped online and got 70% off and all of that? Brian, I'm sure you run into that all the time.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are going to be rugs that people like, and there's rugs that people love. And sometimes they get it for a really good deal. You can get something on Facebook Marketplace. You can, get it from a garage sale, uh, maybe
Thrift store.
yeah, an antique store at times. Um, the thing I've found is that it really comes down to the fact of, do they really enjoy it and do they love it? Because they'll pay the money. Because the one thing I had to learn in business was I can't sit back and like prejudge and say, okay, just because they paid 250 for this, they're not going to go ahead and have this washed when it costs, 480.
Three times. Three
Yeah.
times that, yeah.
Okay. I mean, seriously. So, uh, but there are a lot of people that will, and then there's just some people that won't. And I mean, whenever you're looking at a rug as well, yes, for the pre-inspection, you got to take a look at it, and all these rugs are made a little different. So you have machine-made rugs, you have hand-knotted rugs, you have woven rugs, you have tufted rugs, and you really have to do a really good inspection to kind of see what's going on, understand maybe which way the pile is actually needing to be groomed. Is it side to side? Is it fringe to fringe? Uh, just also checking. Man, we had a tufted rug that came in last week. That this was a tough rug. Uh, it's made out of viscose. It's white. It has leather. Not well. I guess you say leather. It had like a hide stripes going through the whole entire thing, about an inch wide, going into like these little hexagons. And so the rug felt pretty light when we picked it up. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, but she said, "Hey, I got the rug wet and got all this yellow like all over my rug. I don't know what's going on." I'm thinking, okay, it's probably the glue that's wicking up, right? Well, we take this rug and bring it back to our shop, do the inspection. I'm like, okay, well, let's just see how this is going to turn out. Wash the rug, and we stick it in the centrifuge, and it's barely spinning out. I'm like, what in the heck? So I pull it back out, flip it back over, and then extract from the actual face in the circumference of the centrifuge, and then they have to re-roll it and do the other side to catch this. And then of course, what it do? It yellowed out like crazy. So that glue in there was really good. The bad thing was that it wicked up something fierce. So they must have put a whole heck of a lot of glue on there, and it took multiple washes to be able to get this thing corrected. We finally got it corrected, but I mean, I think we did it 3 times.
Yeah.
And then the drying process, if we lay on the dry table so it can dry from the bottom and from the top. But every time that you do it from the top, if you don't get enough of that glue, you don't get enough of that stuff out of there. and water is the highway for that thing to wick up. It's the highway, right? Uh,
Yeah.
we had to cut that highway off by pulling as much as you humanly possibly could, and then use dehumidifiers also to help just dry, get air from the from the bottom and just gentle airflow to the top, so we could kind of match the actual drying process without having any problems. But that right there is a rug that costs a lot of money, uh, and it was cheaply made, like one of these rugs right here. And that's just, I mean, it's one of the things you have to really take a look at and kind of understand, okay, what's going on? Because
Yeah.
that's a rug that would probably end up taking somebody who didn't really know what they were doing. If they probably would have took it too far, and they probably would have started like delaminating the hide, the little strips that were in there, because we had to be pretty gentle. But it finally came out good. But it was one heck of a rug to do.
Well, when we get into chemistry, if it was real leather, then you've got
Oh, I know.
fabrics right next to each other. One likes acid, one likes alkaline.
Mhm.
So you've got this impossible choice right off the bat. How do I clean this? Am I going to clean this with acid? Am I going to clean it with alkaline? Am I going to spot clean the leather and then low moisture clean the I mean, like there's a ton of options, but you got to be ready for those, and you've got to, as a good cleaner, understand the fabric, not what it says on the label, but the fabric that you're dealing with. And you've got to understand the characteristics of that fiber, what it likes, what it doesn't like, what will make the colors run, what will make the colors stay. All of these things and factors are so important. And if you come from the carpet cleaning world, you really don't have a lot of that. To know the difference in appearance between polyester yarn, like a frise polyester to a frise nylon, you should know that, because you should be able to warn your customers and tell them, if you buy this polyester, it's gonna tip bloom, it's gonna fuzz out, and it's gonna look terrible in the traffic ways. Where a nylon has a heat set, so you actually, when I come over it with hot water, you can actually, that fiber can actually remember where it was and kind of have a little resiliency. I mean, the resiliency is nowhere near wool, but there's a big difference between nylon and polyester. But as carpet cleaners, that's really all we're taught to recognize. I mean, it's really about all we encounter. So as rug washers, we have a whole new set of fiber types and characteristics and
Yeah.
pH requirements that you just don't have to worry about in any, in just being a carpet cleaner. So that's my takeaway, is to be sure that you understand all of those. And if you don't, have somebody train you. If you can't, read a book, whatever it is, but educate yourself on these characteristics, because if you don't know that, your cleaning can go south real fast.
Well, and something that was really nice was that we made sure we kept really good communication with the lady, because she first had the problem. She didn't know why the whole thing kind of started turning an orangish yellow across the whole rug,
Mm.
But we were able to kind of communicate with her, hey, just give us a little bit of time, be patient with it. Let's see if we can remove a lot of this. And like you're saying, you have to be able to you have to be able to bring both sides, the
Yeah.
5.5 and the 8.5 together, and be able to really work this. There's a little bit of magic that's involved in that, right? And
Yeah.
you got to just be patient, have finesse, don't get too aggressive, think out of the box, understand why it's doing what it's doing, and then try to cut off that highway so you don't have the wicking. But also just try to help remove as much as that glue, because if it's in somebody's house, I don't even care if you put protector on the rug. Uh,
Yeah.
you put the protector on there, still that glue it could wick up. It's going to protect the fibers, but we had to do whatever we could do to get that corrected. But the main thing is that when you get a rug, you got to take it and you got to look at the whole entire thing. Understand, like when you look in the back, this was a tufted piece, but it was also kind of sewn, not just glued. It was sewn and glued. It was an interesting, and also feeling how lightweight it is. there's a lot of different things you'll start to kind of learn, like what's going on here. This rug is definitely different than the rest of them, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
and I mean, like if you had a rug sucker, I don't know if you could really even clean that rug, except for I guess you could. You would have to basically take it and roll it just over the rug sucker, and then pick it up and roll it again, and then roll it again. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you'd have to have sections upon sections, almost like using the water claw in a way.
yeah.
But you can only get so much even with a water claw on that thing. It
And
was,
see, right there, that's why we teach principles and we don't teach methods, really. I mean, so we will teach methods as well, but principles are really what you need to grasp, because if you understand what you need to do, then you can begin to formulate a way to achieve that. And it's not the same, twice typically, so it depends on the rug, it depends on your pre-inspection, uh, you know, confirmation of the condition of the rug. That's, and it is just tantamount for the client and you to agree on the condition of the rug before you proceed with your cleaning.
yeah,
Okay, so Master Rug Cleaner Program. Brian, I know that you've known some guys to go through this. Did you go through this?
I did not.
Okay, me neither. But this is Ellen and Aaron Grosclose. I mean, two of the huge names, and so they um uh this is a good thing if anybody gets into the position where they want to. I mean, this class I think has two segments, 6 months apart, something like that, 3 months apart, and it just is concentrated with material. I actually have the textbook from this class.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I got it here. Yeah, several 5 or 6 years ago, something like that, and it's been really, really helpful and all of that. So just know that this is something, as you get going in your rug career, it's not like carpet. It's not like you can kind of, I know enough, you know what I mean? You can never know too much about rugs and constructions and the knots and the fiber types and the fiber characteristics, the manufacture of these rugs. How is this made? Very important to know all of that stuff. And they go over, I mean, the master rug cleaners, I know a couple of them and they are fantastic. They know what they're looking at, they know what they're doing. So just, you know, I saw this and said, "Hey, let's look at that for a second." So you've known a couple of people to go through this, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I know. I've known a lot of guys actually have taken this low class. You're right. I think it's what 3 days, 3 days
Yeah,
in the spring, 3 days in the fall.
yeah,
I think
something
it
like
is.
that.
So one of my friends, actually, his name is Jeffrey. He actually did take this class. He's in here. I'm actually looking at the pictures right now. Uh, yeah, it's an interesting class. I honestly hadn't taken the class. I thought about taking it, but I guess that when you spend so much time with Paul Lucas, uh,
Yeah,
I, gosh, man, that guy schooled me for years, and
yeah,
I mean years. He schooled me, and he wasn't always like he didn't sugarcoat it.
no,
He straight up said, Brian, you might not be as good as you think. And I was like, really? And he was like,
yeah,
yeah. You know what? It's still dirty. Hey, you got to do this. You got to do that. And I learned from my mistakes through him, and I made a lot of mistakes. But through your mistakes, you learn. You absolutely learn.
yeah,
And I ended up becoming a, an incredible rug cleaner because of him,
yeah.
and also because of Nate. I mean, spending time watching with Nate.
Of course.
I mean, that was pretty awesome. But honestly, I mean, I might actually take the class just to take it. You know,
Yeah. One of these days, I've thought about it myself. I got to go to Houston twice and all of that.
oh,
So
it's in Dallas.
is it Dallas? Okay.
Yep,
Couldn't
yep.
remember where. I knew it was down there right there somewhere. So, but yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So here's a situation. I did a job for a customer. She's so happy she wants me to clean her couch and wool area rug. The couch is a Bassett linen couch. Tag says dry clean solvent only. Now remember, let's stop right here. Tags on anything really is advice for the consumer, not advice for the cleaner. The cleaner should know how to safely clean this in several different ways if you're good at what you do. But here we go. What product is out there that would work for this? So if you got to ask that, it's kind of like, you know, probably, you know, don't practice on customers' products, okay? Practice on practice pieces. That way you understand. But if you have to ask this question, I got to say right off the bat, you're probably not qualified to do it. I mean, Brian, are you in disagreement? Being a snob. I mean,
No, no, no. I mean, a lot of people call us, and because we actually do clean furniture as well, and they say, well, the tag says this. Well, yes, you're right. That's so you don't get in trouble. You
mhm,
don't want to get in trouble. I know how to best take care of this. So, especially with the linen piece, I mean, you got to clean the whole entire thing. I saw
yeah.
I saw a piece last week that somebody tried to spot clean, and just brings the big old rusty halo to the air.
And a headache. And then remember, if you've got to do something in somebody's house, there's a problem. You got to go back. When it dries, it's still a little problem. You got to go back and you do this three, four, five times.
Yeah.
That you will never go back to that client's house again because they're thinking this guy doesn't know what he's doing, and it's not a. I mean, it can be about that, but these type of products can give you really, really bad problems, and especially trying to spot clean it. So educate yourself on these before you try them because you can really lose a customer and get a heck of a bad review out of something like this. Practicing on a customer's product. On their. So he says he has cotton and linen shampoo, but it basically says no water on the tag. So is that out? And absolutely not. It's not out, but cotton shampoo should have a little reduction agent in it to help kind of on the back end to be able to make sure that doesn't brown out on you doing the lignin browning, the actual true cellulosic browning. Um, they don't have any way to turn down the pressure on his unit, 220 psi. If it was me, I would probably hand clean this sofa anyway, and maybe extract with, at the end. But really, I would be cleaning this with a spray bottle and towels after I vacuumed it properly. Um, so, he's asking, should he pass on this? I don't want to let her down after being so happy after the first cleaning. Um, Listen, this is my opinion, and my opinion, it's worth as much as anybody else's opinion. But um, I would turn it down if I were in this guy's shape. If you have to ask these kind of questions about doing something, then go practice, go get training, go understand before you start because screwing up a $9,000 sofa, man,
Yeah. You
you
know
know,
what? You probably look a little better also if you actually tell somebody, hey, uh, I would love to clean it, but as of right now, as my skill set, I'm not comfortable with trying to doing it right now. I would love to actually take some classes and actually learn how to properly do it. People respect that more than just you go ahead and you try and then all of a sudden something goes south.
yeah.
So,
And then you fail over and over and over, you
I
know.
mean, I mean, when I first started washing rugs, I learned what a Moroccan rug was, and I wasn't really set up to clean a Moroccan rug and some Navajos, and I passed on
Mhm.
them. I said, no, no, I mean, I'm not skillful enough yet to
I'm
be.
not there yet. Yeah.
And you know what? They didn't look at me bad for it. They actually took that in and said, hey, you know what? Hey, we really appreciate you being honest, you know. And then as my skill set grew, we would actually keep in touch with our clients and let people know, hey, yeah, I did get this training over here. And then you can actually start maybe showcasing some pieces that you are cleaning to actually show a client, hey, look, we are cleaning like this linen sofa, and look at the results. You know, we took this training, we gotten so much better. People really love that because now you're leading them because they don't know. And they sure
Yeah.
the heck aren't hoping that you're going to come over there and say, I don't know, you
Yeah.
know. So it's better to get a little education and then go ahead and showcase some of the work that you're doing and allow people to see that yes, you have learned and you are able to serve these people.
Absolutely, and do it correctly. Don't make don't make it harder than it needs to be. All of those kind of things too. Understand the chemistry, all of that, and the methods, and the ones that can get you in trouble, and the ones that that won't, and all of that. So yeah, um, experience is your best teacher. But and another thing on this, for a guy who's new, which it sounds like this guy is from all the questions. Um, it's hard to turn down the money that you would
Oh,
charge for a linen sofa and an oriental rug.
yeah, yeah. But you know what though?
Yeah, the risk is too great.
There are times, okay, like a wool rug. I mean, who knows what kind of wool rug it was, right?
Right.
But like, I remember actually testing on rugs. I took some Pottery Barn rugs and actually put like, Ultra Pack on there, or put Flex from Bridgepoint on there, you know, and I cleaned it with my truck mount.
Yeah.
And I saw that heat and I saw that pH of 12 and I was like, whoa, man, do you see what I just did to my own rug I just bought?
Yeah.
Wow, that was not positive. I don't think I want to do that. So it is. It's best to have pieces that you can fail on yourself,
Yeah.
and then you can test. And that's what you really need to do. You need to take things and you need to push it to outer boundaries. You need to, hey, put some ammonia on wool rug. Put some red one on there, straight up red one. See what happens. It
Yeah.
will melt. It will literally melt. You got to do these things so you understand. Once you start getting some education, start pushing the boundaries and understand what the boundaries are so you can say, okay, I can't push that far. I can't do this. I can't do that. And also he says on here he wants to clean a wool rug. Well, is he going to clean it in the house? Is he going to bring it with him? What's the process? What kind of rug is it? Is it going to be a bleeder? Is it going to have any sort of problems? Just like I told you a minute ago, there was that viscose rug with the hide strips. I mean, are you kidding me? There's all kinds of different things to actually know and to actually learn from and be prepared. You need to be prepared. That's all their bottom line is. So like if you're cleaning wool rugs, I got a phone call on Friday. Somebody said, hey, somebody used their truck mount and they actually cleaned my rug in the house, but man, this has been like several days and it still smells like a wet dog in here, and it's really starting to just gross me out. Man, some people like to clean with too high a pressure, and I'm not talking no jazz or nobody, but I mean, like, literally, you might not want to do that, right? And I know there's a lot of really good cleaners that say, okay, I'm gonna use super light pressure. I'm gonna cut that highway off. I'm gonna do some things. Well, the problem with that is sometimes is then the dirt still stays inside there. And even that little bit of pressure will bring it up and bring that rusty brown looking color up. uh, there's so many pitfalls to it. It's like doing it inside somebody's house, and I understand some people do,
I
and
didn't.
that's their choice. I actually picked up rugs, like, was that last Tuesday? Last Tuesday that somebody actually did actually wet clean in their house, uh, and these are 90 line Chinese rugs. That whole entire the flooring underneath, that has that kind of yellowish orange looking, to the wood, actually soaked all the way up into the foundation, from the foundation to the face of the rug.
Oh my
And she's
God.
like, I don't know what's going on with this thing. I mean, they clean my rugs in the house, and I mean, that's like, oh my gosh, you got to
Yeah.
be kidding. I told her as well, let's see if we can restore it. I'm not going to give you no promises, but I'm going to see if we can
No.
actually bring it back.
Right. And
Uh,
it's going to take a lot of work.
but see, and some people will sit there and tell you, "Whoa, man, I cleaned a ton of rugs in people's houses and I had no problems." Well, maybe you have, but you know what? Sometimes, sometimes people won't call you. They're not going to call you and tell you, "Hey, something went wrong." They're just not
They're
going to
just
call you. They're just not going to
they're
call
just
you
going to
anymore.
call you again ever. Yeah.
Exactly. You know. So I mean, it's just,
Not only that, look, there's two things that say constantly when we talk about on-site rug cleaning. One of them is it's impossible to dust a rug inside somebody's house. So right
mhm.
there, your first and primary objective is thrown out the window. You cannot do that properly. The other portion after the cleaning is you've given up all of your control. You have no control over the conditions in which that rug is going to dry under. You have given up all control of, ooh, if something's happening, I can counteract it real quick and do something different. You go to your house, you don't know what's going on. All you know is that you cleaned it, and all they know is what they're seeing, which is not what they were expecting and what they thought they paid for. So, all around, it is just a horrible idea.
Well, here's another
Um,
thing. Okay. Uh, and I've seen this many a times. So you're sitting here saying like, you can't dust it. Yeah, you can't dust it. Some people don't even vacuum the door rug before they actually start cleaning it. And case in point is like stainless steamer. That's the way that they do it. They expect the client to actually, uh, vacuum the rug. The problem is this person's rug from this one little job we did. Uh, this rug right here, the client's vacuum, the tube had stuff stuck into it. They vacuumed it, thought everything was fine, didn't see all the dog hair that was still left on there. And this company that did like the stainless steel method went across and just pre-sprayed it and started cleaning it. And then this other lady, I mean, this is a whole nother separate thing. You should see all the rugs we get in from just weird stuff. From somebody
yeah.
trying to wash their rug themselves to somebody uh whatever. So somebody came and said I did it wrong. But this rug just reeked of just wet dog. And I mean, look at it. I mean, are you kidding? And they're just like they're choking, get the rug out of here. We don't care. We got to get it out of here, And it's I hope somebody, if somebody was to actually clean the rug in the house, man, hopefully they vacuum really good. But the problem is, even when you vacuum really good, what happens, Rob? You end up rolling the rug back, and then you see how the vibration of the actual vacuum caused all the dust going all over the floor, right? You get that moisture on there. What happens? It wicks up to the top.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
to
there's
me,
just no winning.
to
There's no
me, yeah,
winning.
to me,
When you start out giving like crippling yourself is basically cutting both of your legs off at the knees and your left arm, and that's how you're going about cleaning this rug. Well, you're very disabled from the very beginning, and it's just not the a good way to approach it. It may not have hurt you yet, but mark my words, one day it's and it may have already hurt you and you don't know it. That really hurts you, right?
hey, did I ever tell you the story about the time that this one lady called and she says, "Hey, can you come get my rug?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She says, "I tried to wash it in my swimming pool."
Oh my
And I
God.
said, "What?" It's a 6x9, and the rug was inside the pool. And she had us get into the pool, and we had to roll it up on a PVC pipe and then roll it up and then pull it out of there. That thing was so heavy. But man, people do the strangest things while trying to do these DEY type deals, or like it's out there in the driveway, and it's literally been out there, for days, and it's like we can't get it dry. Well, are you kidding me? Yeah.
Right.
And they'll
It's 80% humidity out here. Of course, it's not going to dry. You know,
for
and
real.
there's simple things that you've got to know. Like I was just talking to somebody this last week in my class, and I said, "Look, there's a way to hang a rug up and beat it, and there's a way not to. If you hang that rug on like a line or something like clothesline, and you get like a tennis racket, you can." Get a lot of the soil out of that rug that way, but you have to do it the right way. You hit the face of the rug, and the physics of it is you move the rug quick enough that the soil stays where it is and gravity pulls it down to the ground, right? But if you do it the other way, if you beat on the back of the rug, what you're doing is driving any soil that's in
Mm.
there into the rug because you're moving the back of the rug instead of moving the face of the rug where the soil can actually come out. So, I mean, there's just so many subtle things that can go wrong. So, give yourself all the advantages you can. Take that rug out of the house, do a proper inspection and documentation process, do your dusting, know the fiber, know the characteristics of those fibers, clean to the weakest fiber in the chain. All of those things are just vitally important. And if you skip any of them, and especially several in a row, you're asking for trouble. And that goes right into our next one. The best cleaning for a wool viscose blend area rug. Well, Brian, you and I are going to clean to the viscose, okay? Because if we can make the viscose happy, that's it'll feel right. Everything will be good. So the process is it needs to be a cationic detergent, and there's not a lot of those out there that aren't like Microban and stuff like that. Most of them are sanitizers. So, but you can get them. And Round Rug shampoo from Chemex is one of them. So you wet out the rug. Most rugs we wet out with clean, clear, cool water. But in viscose, we really don't want to do that because of the first in, last out principle. So if you go first in with water, the last thing that's coming out is water, and water helps create hydrogen bonding. That means the viscose is going to act like a wet newspaper or a wet book where the pages are going to stick together when it's dry and you try to peel them apart and they actually tear. So if you go first in with a cationic detergent lightly, like Round Rug shampoo, 2 ounces per gallon, and then you wash it with 8 ounces per gallon Round Rug shampoo and go through the rest of your process and all of that. This is how you're going to have success with viscose. And people say gasoline in a match is how you clean viscose or whatever. But viscose is a very cleanable fiber. You just have to understand the process of it, Brian.
Yep.
And it's
A
just,
a lot of people just don't understand what viscose is. I mean, it's cotton wood pulp, right? So it's super absorbent. And yes, you're right. You got to be able to be able to pull those properties where the actual fibers don't try to stick to each other. So Brown Merc shampoo, I feel is great uh, a great product for actually washing viscose rugs. And just like you were saying, use 2 ounces, put a 5 gallon bucket, go across and let it kind of drink all that up, and then go ahead and wash the rug. So you will have much better results at the end. The rug will feel soft. It'll look nice. Because there's nothing worse than a crunchy rug after you finish. Yeah.
definitely. That handle needs to be smooth because I actually, a lot of times, will ask my clients to get down and rub their hand on a rug that I just brought back to them. And if they have another rug in their house that I haven't done, I have them do that on there first to show them the difference because it should feel softer than it's ever felt. You should not feel that gritty soil that you should be getting out during the dusting process. And the viscose blend here is the most likely to give you texture issues, drying issues, and just all over handle issues. So, doing this correctly is highest among your priorities when you've got viscose involved because viscose can be made out of a pile of sawdust, right? It's just cellulosic material. So many times it's lint from processing cotton, rejects from cotton production. Sawdust is a major part of making this fiber. So any plant material that they have left over. So, it's amazing what they can make these things out of. And so it's all about understanding the chemistry and the procedures and that first in, last out principle. If no one's ever taught you that, that is something that you need to find somebody to talk about and let them educate you on that because it's just huge. We use that concept constantly, don't we, Brian?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
One thing with viscose rugs, it just depends because all these viscose rugs seem to be a little different. So sometimes on some of the ones that might be a little more troubled at times, what we do is we actually have the two dog groomers. I think it's a 8 horsepower and 8 horsepower going into two hoses going into the 1 2 inch hose, and then we'll actually lay it onto the dry table, turn both of those vacuums on, and actually add some airflow to that, and you're breaking that surface tension on there, and then go ahead and brush that. It's getting hot. It's putting a bunch of airflow through there, and it's actually making that thing just a lot more softer to the handle.
Easier to dry.
Yes.
You're blowing out water. You're blowing out loose dyes.
Yep.
Using a dog grooming tool post cleaning, but before you are fully ready to dry it is just genius.
Yeah. I
Brilliant.
mean, you don't have to do on all of the rugs. I mean, there were just some rugs. I mean, some of the viscose rugs are a little bit harder to do than others. And what I found is that that is a great method of actually breaking things up. I think that's kind of in a way, probably what I hear, like how some of those guys using tumble dusters and they have one that's like a detailed tumble duster and the
Yeah,
other one that's just for dusting. They play
dusting.
set inside there and they're basically breaking the tension. It's almost like the same thing. And I really like just using the dog groomer with some air. You just go
That
across. You're just breaking that tension up. Then you're going ahead and you're grooming that, and everything is set really super nice. And when things dry, you already got a lot of the drying done also. Because I'm
yeah,
telling you, that airflow through there gets pretty darn hot,
this is
and it's getting real hot. It's helping drying. It's
like
making all the fibers dance around, and I mean it does a great job.
yeah, it really does. And I've it reminds me of um of a story that Paul Lucas used to say when you're talking about mechanically kind of shining these rugs after they're dry. Um, Paul Lucas used to say that you remember in the old days when your mom would put up blue jeans on the clothesline. Well, when you'd pull them down, they were stiff as a board,
Yeah, I remember that.
and so they would almost stand up by themselves. And so but now, I mean, nobody thinks about it now because now we have a dryer, and the dryer doing that manipulation, folding, all of that, that is what is softening that and taking all that stiff handle away because we're dealing with cotton, typically denim, So, yeah, very interesting stuff. And these can be done and be done very successfully. Just you just need the right chemistry, the right understanding, the right training. So, okay, so I've got some pictures along with this one, but we uh, want to look at those here in a minute. So this is one of 3 matching area rugs I was tasked to clean. There's a strong urine odor present. My go-to in such situation it generally has been to use Hydrocide Extreme, which has worked well for me. My question is to do with the cotton backing that's listed on the rug. I'm not aware that I've cleaned an area rug that's been made with a cotton backing. Is there anything I need to concern myself with cleaning this? My process of cleaning would involve saturating and soaking for an extended period of time in hydrocide extreme, extracting, and then using BioBreak with Citrusolve, followed by an acid rinse extraction. Now let's look at, so we've got the pile yarn's polypropylene, the warp yarn is polyester and cotton, and the backing is cotton. Well, Brian, I'm not,
Okay.
maybe they're talking about the surging is cotton, but there's not a back on this. Am I wrong?
No, there's no cotton backing. I don't. I don't.
So,
I don't. I mean, he's saying cotton backing. He sounds like he's talking about a tufted rug, right?
right.
No.
And we can see the cotton weft yarns.
Yeah.
Well, they say they're warp yarns, so maybe they are, but so this may be sideways or whatever. Um, but yeah, so there's a little bit of cotton in here. There's in the warp, and they say in the backing, but I'm kind of questioning that. So let's see. Is that is that the only picture I got? Dang it. Uh, I thought I got a picture of but You know, he's asking, is there anything I need to concern myself when cleaning this? Absolutely. First thing I would say to talk about is differential shrinkage, right, Brian?
Yeah, yeah. Well, because it's got cotton inside of it, right? You don't know
Yeah.
it's already pre-shrunk. So the
And
best,
some of it may be, and some of it may not be even. I mean, that's rare with manufacturing, but it happens.
well, especially on rugs that are machine-made rugs. Have you ever noticed? I mean, we have one that we're working on that right now that this pet just peed on like crazy. It's a circle rug, right? 8 foot round, and that cotton inside there can shrink. So it's gonna give you a little bit of wave around to that thing. Um, and you got to make sure that whenever you're drying this thing, that you're drying it where you're keeping everything flat, you're keeping everything solid, so you don't allow that because when it dries, that cotton, it's just like I was saying before, like with sheetrock, water damage. You punch your whole fist through that wall, and it's like it's nothing. If it's wet,
Right.
as soon as
Right.
it's dry, that sucker's hard, right? And
Yep.
it dried, and all that tension's on there, and that's the reason why you get the little humps, that's, in the rug. So I would say that's probably my biggest thing. Uh, I mean, kind
And
of,
so that could be a tack out situation where while this is drying, you need to tack this out.
yeah,
That's possible. There's speed drying also helps out a little bit, but you don't just put this in the dry room and let it go. You watch it, you know what I mean, unless you want to tack it out later on or whatever. So
yeah.
there's
That's the reason why I like having some of the dry tables. Is
yeah,
because even if you hang the rug, I mean, so what are you gonna do? You're gonna try to put tension on the rug as it's hanging? I
right,
mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, to me, it's a lot better to have it on the dry table. And if
yes,
it's worse come to worse, you could even have some of those tracks seam weights, you know,
hmm
or like a board that has like a coating on one side. You can actually lay that down and actually get some airflow underneath, give it
yeah.
a bit of drying, and then go ahead. As it's drying, there's just so many different things you can do with the dry table, versus like, well, also that's another thing. So if you have it hanging up, you have that hump that's there in the rug also. I mean, to me, there's a need for a dry table, and maybe a rug like this would really work out for that.
I think so. And one of the things that I want to point out before we ever wash it, I'm the kind of guy, I want a number, right? So I'm going to look for urine in this spot, and then I'm going to use a black light for that. And then I'm going to put a moisture meter, a penetrating moisture meter into that fabric where the urine is. And I want to know if I'm dealing with 80% moisture content, 20% moisture content, or somewhere in between, right? That's going to dictate how much I've got to flush, how much I've got to treat, the dwell time, all of that. And so that's one of the things for me that is just so important is to be have a number and qualify what it is that you're working on because that affects your procedures while you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely.
So
But
there's
but
okay.
I think he must have been talking about a different rug, or if he wasn't, he was just talking about the cotton that's inside the rug. I'm not for sure.
Right, because yeah, there's well, I mean, it even says there's a backing on it, but
Yeah,
I'll
that was
be
good backing.
I'll be darned if I can see one on there. So, but
Yeah,
anyway, this could be a problem mug because it's a hybrid of natural and not natural, petroleum based fibers. So, always be ready for things to go wrong when you're with cotton. That's for sure.
yeah.
Um, Now let's see. Oh, I might have messed up these. No, no, no. These are pictures I've got. Okay, wool with jute cotton backing got me. I fixed it with the exception of some ripples on the binding that are still there. This side is fixed, but the other three sides and a second rug like this have some similar ripples on the edges only. Let's look at the pictures. Okay, so we've got on the edges, these are in the middle and in the middle again. So All right. So, is there a safe double-sided tape, not to risk damaging the backing or the hardwood floor, or do I need to put more time into this problem and wait dry it? Just taking it out of the house is not an option. Okay. Just wondering if there's a two-side tape that's safe. I tested it with some regular two-sided tape. It makes it perfect, but scared of causing damage, and he needs to close this job. So, okay, Brian, uh, this
Okay.
this is not an easy discussion. We're
Well,
talking about we can't take it out of the home. It's impossible. So, and look at the kind of floor it's on, man. I mean, that looks like hardwood to me.
oh yeah. So you know what you could do if you have some of that eco by design or maybe like the eco preferred rug pad that has the moisture barrier to it. That's what you would want to have under this rug, and maybe you want to have pieces of that rug, especially with those little two little humps that's right there. Have a section maybe like 3 foot wide, as much could be 12 foot long. Lay that under that whole thing, because you could use a little bit of steam. You know, you're gonna have to use a little bit of you're gonna have to use like the that tracks seam weight. That would be best to do because it's plastic through there. It has little holes that allows that to dry a little faster. You could put a fan on there as well. You know, there's things you could do. Uh, but honestly, it's a really great upsell right there for
Right.
that rug pad, you know, and
Yeah.
bring in some rug pad to try to fix something like that. You could actually have them step on the rug pad and be like, hey, this is what it feels like. This is what it is. Uh, I'm able to do a few things because I don't have that moisture barrier, or I have a moisture barrier that's not going to allow that to penetrate down into the hardwood floors.
Yeah.
So,
Boy, that's the thing. Holy moly, that floor scares the
oh yeah,
scares me so bad.
oh
Oh,
yeah.
and this is not, buckling, you'll agree with me, is not only a localized problem. That is a holistic problem with the rug and where it sits and how it's sitting.
Yeah.
And we can see that because it's all over the place. It's not just, I see humps all over. I
Oh, I
don't
know.
see just those two up by the fireplace.
Yeah, yeah. They're right there in the middle. They're kind of over there by the table.
And what is that going to do? That's going to probably, if let's assume this is tufted. Let me see if I've got any other pictures. I don't. So let's assume this is tufted. Maybe broadloom. So if that's what this is, that you're if you try to locally fix those two, those other ones are going to still be there. And when you make glue, latex adhesive bend much more than what it's normally supposed to just kind of bend like this, right? But if you're have a hump up and you keep walking on it and you're bending it, you're making it fail, and you're going to prematurely lose your rug. Your tufts are going to start coming out in your vacuum cleaner. You're going to have a heck of a mess on your floor underneath. There's just a ton of things that screams to me, take this out of the house, make it an option somehow, because it is so difficult to fix problems like this without a tack out floor. I just don't even, I don't think I would even, you
Yeah,
know,
but I
attempt.
mean, honestly, I think that if you had a dry table and you did have it at your shop, you'd have a lot better of a chance to actually get the whole entire thing
Absolutely.
flat, get it dry top and bottom, and you just wouldn't have these issues.
And in this being broadloom, as I suspect,
Mm,
if it is broadloom, you're going to want to tack this thing out upside down while it's wet, get it square, and then put adhesive on it. And adhere, a cushion would be the best option here. Give them a vapor barrier, right? But you can't just glue this down, because you're going to miss spots. Things are going, you can't use the sticky cushion on this, which we have at Rug Pad Wizard. Um, Now it's our newest product, and I've already used it in several applications, and I like it. But you know, to give this rug some structure is what I see that it needs. Now, if this is a woven piece and I'm incorrect that glue holds this together, then a couple of other options uh, begin to show themselves in the house, but still it's man, I want this thing out of the house. Make it an option if it's at all possible.
Yeah, yeah, it would help out. That's for
But
sure.
if it's not, Brian, you were talking about how you would help that. There are still options. They may not be great options, but there still are options.
Yeah, I mean, I really truly believe that you got to have some of that, moisture barrier rug pad to go
Yeah,
with. And you got to be careful with the steam too, because even though you have the rug pad, and it's better if you have that preferred pad, you got
yeah,
something that's a little bit thicker. It's
yeah,
31 ounces. Uh, you're not trying to heat up that thing so much that the whole day, that the floor is starting to get heated also. So you're trying to actually relax all the
yeah.
fibers. And
Well, and don't forget that room that's underneath that. It's got to go somewhere. So you got to be kind of pulling that down toward a terminal edge or something. You can't just flatten this. It's not gonna work.
yeah,
The room, the space has got to go somewhere. Space created by that hump has got to go somewhere. Anybody who's ever stretched a piece of carpet will tell you that.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So,
well, let's get I'll get this stopped and all that. Brian, it's been a great time as always. I love doing this show with you. I appreciate you being here and helping out with everything and seeing things for you always want to see two or three different perspectives if you can.
oh yeah, it's nice to be able to take your input, our input, or my input, and maybe somebody else's input, and then you can have at least three or four or five different legs that you're kind of working with, and you can kind of see because we've all been there. So it's kind of nice to like, listen to somebody say, okay, I would do this or I would do that because I mean there are options at times, but it really cleaning rugs inside people's houses it just presents a whole lot of problems.
It's setting yourself up for failure, period.
It is because the one thing about rugs can be the greatest thing in the world, but when you have an audience and you're in their house, you know, man, sometimes that's not the best option. You know,
Absolutely.
because things do go wrong. That's why you tell somebody also it's going to be 7 to 14 days.
Yeah.
Because you
I
have
need time to fix things.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have a little leeway to be able to correct any sort of issues. You
Oh,
know, and
absolutely.
I I know a lot of people. I mean, I heard somebody talking about it a couple weeks ago about how it was, I do this stuff all the time. Well, yeah. And then that one time it burned your butt, didn't it?
That's right. That's right. Well, we've come to the
And
end
it
of
feels
another
good.
week. Yeah, definitely. We've come to the end of another week. As I said, Brian, I appreciate you as always. Appreciate everybody who watches the show. Get a hold of me if you want to get some hybrid training that I've been talking about through last week and all that. I can make that happen. Just did a class last week, 3-day class where some of the videos from Paul were integrated into my training and help reinforce and teach very complicated concepts. So, but anyway, we will see you next week. Everybody have a great week. Tell them all bye.
See you then. Bye.
See you guys next week. Thanks so much for watching. All right, let's see if I can do this.